Radio 1110 KFAB. This is the Good Morning Show. I'm Gary Saddlemeyer. There's Scott Voorhees, and we're pleased to welcome June Campbell to the program on education with the Campbell Christian Academy in Dallas. June, good morning.
Good morning.
We have all seen, back when Jay Leno was doing the Tonight Show, the jaywalking segments, and now we see Jesse Waters on the O'Reilly Show, where he goes around and just talks to people on the streets and asks them pretty easy questions, and there are just a lot of idiots out there. And I'm thinking, okay, you got a few blockheads, you got some stoners and so on. But what's concerning, and the reason I wanted to chat with you, is because we're finding this now among college graduates, pretty much the same syndrome, right?
Yes, we are.
And was it Newsweek? Newsweek polled 1,000 people to answer questions from the American Citizenship Test. Now, this is the test people take who have come here from foreign countries, and they're applying for citizenship. They asked these questions from the citizenship test to American citizens. Less than 29% could name Joe Biden as a sitting vice president. So what is your analysis and diagnosis here, June?
Well, my analysis and diagnosis is this. Where do we get knowledge? We get knowledge from reading. And kids are not being taught to read correctly from an early age, and that's when they develop a love for learning and a desire to read. And because they are poor readers, even in high school and college, it takes forever for them to read anything, so by the time they get finished reading, they don't remember what they've read, and consequently they don't want to read, so they don't read. Okay,
well, what the scandal here to me is that these kids are passed along. I mean,
absolutely.
Okay, so I'm 150 years old, but it wasn't all that long ago where if you couldn't read at your grade level, you didn't get to go on to the next one. When did that change?
Oh, that's been going on for a long, long time. In fact, they changed from phonics, and that's what caused the problem, and that was way back in the 1940s, late 1940s. And since then, we've had generation after generation has come through and can't read. And so we'd find it pretty doubtful now that you'd find very many kids going to the library to get a book on history or geography or civics, or yet they know who Brad Pitt is.
So they consume everything on in the media, right?
Exactly.
Because they can tell you what Kardashian is naked this week and which Kardashian is married to who, but they can't tell you the base. They asked a kid. These were Texas Tech students in this one test or survey. They asked them who won the Civil War, and they didn't know. And this kid from Texas guessed the South.
I know. I saw that. And the truth of the matter is, if you were to ask those same students the basics of any other subject, they wouldn't know the answer to those either. You'd get the same shoulders shrug, the same giggles, the same response. The one asked, "Is this a trick question?" But that's the truth. They don't know the basics of anything because they don't read. 30 years ago, I quit teaching in the public schools because the first grade teacher said then she couldn't teach because the kindergarten teacher hadn't taught the kids how to read. The second grade teacher said, I can't teach second grade because the first grade teacher hadn't done her job, hadn't taught them how to read, and so forth and so on. And it's really not gotten any better. In fact, it's gotten much worse.
Can't we turn that clock back? Well, you mentioned the late 40s. I was in school 20 years after that, and they weren't passing kids along, at least in my school. If you couldn't read, you didn't go on.
You didn't go on. That's right. But it all started back then when they changed throughout phonics.
That's where it started, you're saying?
That's where it started. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what do we do to turn that clock back?
Oh, I wish I had the answer. I wish I had the answer.
I had the answer. We start getting involved in school board meetings. We do.
Well,
because I tell you, I've preached this gospel for years. This is one of the elected positions that probably is most directly connected to voters and taxpayers, and yet we don't go. We barely know who our school board member is. We don't go to meetings. And if we think the schools are out of control, we got to look in the mirror.
I do think that I have some hope that I would be happy to share, if you don't mind me actually plugging a book that I've actually written.
All right.
But it's as I said a while ago, it all goes back to teaching kids to read properly so that they love to read. And phonics was the way that we taught, our founding fathers taught the children to read hundreds of years ago. The book that I've written is called Pure Phonics. I taught about 10,000 children how to read like this, and they're fantastic readers. They read as early as 3 years old. And it's simple to do. The schools could be using this method, and we would have tremendous results.
Pure Phonics.
Pure Phonics. My book comes with a DVD of me actually teaching the lessons, and it's simple. The parents get involved with the children. It takes just a few minutes a day, and they actually see them learning how to read and actually see little ones reading in just a matter of 2 or 3 lessons. And people all over the United States are buying this book, and even people who have children who are struggling readers go back to the basics, get those tools in their toolboxes, and make them great readers. Do
it in your home. June, thank you. That's June Campbell, and again, you can Google that. That's Pure Phonics. I really believe, Scott Voorhees, we got to get that. That's great. I mean, if you do that, you can do that at home if your kid's struggling reading, but we got to get involved.